In 2011, the New York State Board of Regents adopted the Common Core Learning Standards. This video broadcast overviews the impact of those standards on the curriculum at East Aurora High School. Academic standards are important because they provide, regardless of a student's economic status or where they live, the framework for attaining their college and career goals. Having clearly defined academic goals allows administrators, teachers, students, and parents to work together to meet students' achievement goals. The Common Core Learning Standards establish a progression of learning expectations for English language arts. The Common Core Learning Standards indicate what specific reading and writing skills should be taught at each grade level, thus allowing administrators, teachers, students, and parents to have a common understanding of what students should know and be able to do at the conclusion of 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. The Common Core Learning Standards present 6 instructional and curricular shifts in English language arts and literacy. First, students will read as much fiction as nonfiction. Therefore, at East Aurora High School, students will read more speeches, essays, and creative nonfiction than they might have in the past. This balance between fiction and nonfiction will enable students to develop a greater appreciation for the world around them. Furthermore, students will be expected to read closely more challenging texts. These texts will often be defined by elevated vocabulary and complex sentence structures. Additionally, students, in discussion and in writing, will be expected to base their conclusions on evidence they've drawn from these texts. The sixth shift in ELA and literacy focuses on a student's acquisition and use of academic language. Academic language includes the vocabulary, sentence structures, and communication styles of a particular content area. Using academic language is an important part of a student's ability to be successful in a specific subject area. As a result of the literacy changes with the Common Core Learning Standards, the English department reviewed the fiction and nonfiction texts offered at each grade level. This review led to the adoption of new nonfiction texts that strengthen the alignment of the curriculum to these new standards. Many, but not all of these selections are included in New York State curriculum modules or our New York State exemplar texts. Under the Common Core Learning Standards, students are expected to support their conclusions in discussion and in writing with evidence from the text. Students will begin this process by offering inferential observations in the form of annotations. These annotations, for example, might examine the writer's strategies for revealing a controlling idea through techniques such as word choice and figurative language. Students will also be able to synthesize information from a number of source texts to develop persuasive and sound arguments of their own. The English teachers have worked hard to align writing activities and assessments to reflect these new expectations of the Common Core, as well as anticipated changes with the English Regents examination. With the adoption of the Common Core Learning Standards in New York, there has been a lot of discussion about testing. At the high school, the new tests that students take in English are the pre-assessments at the start of the academic year. Students also take a post-assessment, their final examination, at the end of the year, or the Regents examination in 11th grade. The English department will continue to revise the pre- and post-assessments in grades 9 and 10 to ensure alignment with the Common Core and with the new Common Core aligned Regents examination. Students in 11th grade will complete in June the new Common Core Regents exam. This is in addition to the Regents examination that students completed in January, aligned to the previous learning standards. Students will receive the higher of the two scores. The department will use the results of the new Common Core Regents examination to evaluate the effectiveness of the instructional and curricular changes it has implemented and to determine what additional changes need to occur. Beginning this year, New York State will offer a new Regents examination for English, aligned with the Common Core standards. Students who graduate in 2017 must pass this new Regents examination. These students will sit for the new exam in June of their junior year. In other words, students who graduate in 2017 will first take the new Regents examination in June 2016. They must achieve a passing score of 65 by the graduation date in June 2017. They may also decide to challenge the exam an additional time to improve their score. Students who graduate in 2022 must achieve at least a 75 on this new Common Core Regents exam. The new Common Core Regents examination is aligned to the new standards and thus is very different from the current Regents exam implemented in 2005. The new Common Core Regents examination is broken into 3 parts. Part 1 is reading comprehension. In Part 1, students will answer 24 multiple choice questions that require them to perform a close reading of 3 different texts. One text is a literature text, in other words, a selection from a short story or a novel. They will also have questions about a poem and one informational text, which more than likely will be a selection from a journal, newspaper, or a magazine. In Part 2, students will write a synthesis essay. They will have 90 minutes to complete this essay. They'll be given 4 informational texts. A few of these texts may contain graphically presented material. In other words, they may have graphs, charts, or maps. Students will be expected to base all of their conclusions on evidence they've drawn from all 4 texts. In Part 3, students will write an evaluation of one strategy a writer uses to reveal a controlling idea or a theme. They will have 30 minutes to complete this essay. Like in Part 2, they must base all conclusions on evidence they've drawn from the text. There are a number of things that you might do at home to help your child be successful under these new learning standards. And perhaps you do many of these things already. First, encourage your child to read at home as much as possible. Help them to identify and acquire reading of interest to them, perhaps a novel or a magazine like the New Yorker, or newspapers like the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. Check Parent Portal at least once a month to ensure your child is not falling behind with their work. Also, ask your child what they are reading in their English class, and if you have time, read that book along with them. Finally, monitor your child's work habits to ensure that they're completing any reading assigned for homework. At times, a student may substitute a summary for the text that they've acquired online for the actual reading of the text itself. This strategy will put that student at a serious disadvantage on the new Common Core Regents examination.